Hey there, welcome back to another review. This is, well, it says Invasion of the Flesh Hunters, but this is better known as Cannibal Apocalypse, which is an Italian film by Margheriti. I think that's the director's last name, Antonio Margheriti. And later on, he would do these sort of exploitation Vietnam War films. But this has some Vietnam stuff too. It starts off in Vietnam, where John Saxon is leading this group of people to get these POWs. And this is quite a bit of insanity. And I think that's why overall I did enjoy the film. I didn't love the film, I have problems with it, but I enjoyed it for the over the top gore. I thought John Saxon did a good job. And just some bad shit insanity. I mean, one of the first things we see is there's a dog comes up to a soldier, and John Saxon warns the soldier, and it's because the dog, there's an explosive, and it kills the dog and the soldier. And so John Saxon leads this group. John Saxon shoots some baddies. There's flamethrowers, there's a grenade. I'm like, Jesus, right off the bat, this is a batshit insane flick. You got POWs chomping on this burnt woman from a flamethrower that falls into the POW's pit, and they're chomping on her. And John says he reaches the POW because one of the guys he knows personally, gets his arm bit, and then he wakes up. So he's been having these nightmares of what happened in Vietnam. And I guess since that bite, he's been having these urges. He'll go into the fridge, and if there's some blood from a meat, he'll look at it, and you tell he's been tempted by it. But he's trying to be a decent guy. He's flying a remote control plane, teaches as a kid. You have this female neighbor that tries to seduce him, and at first he doesn't want anything to do with it because he's married. Gets a call that his bud from Vietnam is out of the hospital. And I guess because of those memories, that urge is easing up. So like that girl who tried to tempt him, he's fondling her a little bit and bites her in a kind of sexual way on the stomach. Doesn't kill her, doesn't eat her, just bites her and then sort of snaps out of it. And she thinks, I guess she thought it was kind of kinky, but she leaves. And then John Saxon's buddy is in this movie theater. And hey, you get some nudity, a couple making out with some titties. And this guy, he is a cannibal. I mean, it's almost as if when you get bit, you're contagious with cannibalism. In kind of an interesting way where it's not a rage virus like 20 days later, it's not a zombie because they're not dead or the undead. It's just when you bite someone, then they have the urge to be a cannibal. Now, granted, the movie doesn't really give a reason as to how John Saxon has fought these urges off for so long. Because it must have been from getting out of Vietnam, going home, being home for a while, for maybe even years, or even a year. How did he fight these urges for so long when everyone else seems like they succumb in a matter, at least within a day? So I don't know if they don't really establish why John Saxon has fought these urges for so long. Maybe if they would have said, like, maybe he's taking pills, maybe he's doing this, but if they did, I don't think they did a good job of explaining that. But there are moments where John Saxon is being tempted, he's trying to fight it off. But yeah, this guy, his buddy in the movie theater, he bites this girl in the neck, he runs away from people chasing him, he goes into this flea market, finds a gun, a shotgun, shoots one guy off a motorcycle, shoots another cop like on the side of his face. John Saxon gets there and tries to talk him down. You have this captain guy. And I thought the actor who played the cop, the captain, police officer, I thought he did a good job. Sort of a no shit kind of guy with some of his lines of dialogue. He's gonna be seen through his asshole when I'm done with him. So I like the captain guy. And Saxon is able to talk the gunman down, and then that guy's being taken to an ambulance. and then someone gets thrown at him, and during the struggle he bites a cop on the finger. And then when that guy gets to the asylum, him and his buddy's played by an actor named Tony Teen, they get in some struggles with some nurses and doctors, and one of them bites the nurse. And then you see things sort of ratchet up where that cop goes crazy in the police station and the captain has to stop him. And then that leads to then the nurse or the female doctor of the asylum, she goes crazy, kisses a guy, bites his tongue off. And you get an idea that this cannibalism is contagious. John Saxon, he's trying to be a decent guy. There's a phone call where his wife talks to this other doctor, and John Saxon, you think he's going to do something crazy, but he's like, no, I'm going to go to the hospital because I love you. So, I know John Saxon says it's like one of the worst films he's ever done. I'd rather watch this than Blood Beach and other stuff. So I disagree with John Saxon on that. And then he's like, I didn't know this was a cannibalism movie. If you read the script, there's no way to not know that. You're full of shit. I'm sorry. You did it. You got the money. Oh no, whoops. I shouldn't have done it. Well, you know what? You've done worse movies. And you've been in worse films. Hell, you were in Beverly Hills Cop 3. But you do get some pretty crazy gore, like when the cop gets half his face blown off, or the... And ultimately, John Saxon does come into his urges, bites a guy on the neck. Him, those two other Vietnam vets, and the female doctor, they escape. There's one guy who one of them is slicing up for a snack later. And they're in the sewers, and you get one guy gets shot in the stomach, and kind of wondering how they did this shot because you see nothing on either side of him, like, and it pans from the hole in his stomach, like from his face down to the hole in his stomach, and another shot from there all the way to his face. I'm like, I wonder how they did that because they have a wide back enough so I don't see like a wall or anything. Like I see like the outside on either side of him. And it was a fun piece of over-the-top gore. And the female gets shot by the cops. The Tony Teen character, he gets burned to death. One thing I did not appreciate is there's a shot where the flamethrowers are going on in the sewers and some real rats get burned. And you see them stirring into the water. I don't appreciate that. Yeah, I know it's rats, and if they're in my house, I would not want them in my house because that's your house. Who knows if they have diseases in your house, or if you have family in your house, or they fuck up your wiring and burn down you and your house. That's one thing. It's in your home, your domain. But if you're shooting a fucking movie and it's supposed to be in the sewers, just let the rats be in the sewers. Don't fucking burn them for film. I don't want to see real animals get burned, hurt, or die in a film. Okay? That's absolutely 1% unnecessary. I don't like that shit. I never liked that shit in a movie. Even in a film like Friday the 13th, from what I understand, that scene with the snake, they killed it. If that's true, that should not have happened. I'm sorry, that's unnecessary. If that's not true, then I read false information. It's the internet. It happens. I don't like when they do that shit in movies. But it was a short film, went at a decent pace. I wish they had more of an explanation of how John Saxon fought these urges for longer than other people did. Maybe a bit more action, a bit more of an apocalypse since the main title is Cannibal Apocalypse. Maybe a bit more of chaos happening or a bit more gore happening throughout it. I mean, they do try to do something different where, again, this is your lead, John Saxon, and in the middle of the film, he turns and it's not with the bad guys, so it's made a little bit different. But maybe if the finale was a bit more satisfying, because what happens, John Saxon goes back to his home, dressed up in a uniform, his wife is there, and then this other guy who the wife knew, and earlier he had gotten a tat scratch on the back of his neck, so now he's a cannibal tendencies. He bites the wife and John Saxon decide to do a double suicide, and then you find out that it's not over yet. Remember, John Saxon bit that girl in the stomach. She's with her younger brother, who I guess she has bitten also. They're cannibals, and they have their aunt's hand in the fridge. And this says end. I'm like, no, it's not. It's you're ending until a sequel, which never happened. But I would have liked a more satisfying ending. Like maybe if John Saxon he falls to his urges, he bites one guy, and there's a scene where they fight these gang members off. But maybe then somehow, I don't know, he's trying to fight it off, and then he takes out the other three cannibals. He takes the other three out. And he shotguns the one, and you know he tries to protect the cop, but then he gets knocked down, and he takes a flamethrower, and flamethrower's Tony Keene, and he tries to redeem himself, and then no, I can't stop yet. There's something I have to do. He goes to that girl next door, has to shoot her, has to shoot the kid. Then you can find out, oh my god, they killed the aunt and she's in the fridge. And then goes his wife. Maybe then he dresses up, he's ready to kill himself. But then, yeah, him saving his wife. Shoots the person who's raided by his wife. Apologizes for everything. Says I love you. Boom. It's tragic. He did the right thing. The movie ends. I think that would have made for a more satisfying finale than what we got. That's how I would prefer it worked out. And maybe some more chaos from the cannibals throughout the middle of the film. At least that's how I would have. If I directed, this is what I would have done. So the finale wasn't the most satisfying, and it leaves room for a sequel that was never made. And maybe some more chaos and gore in the middle of the flick. But I don't hate the film. John Saxon, I thought, did a good job performance-wise. I like the guy who plays the captain. It moved at a decent enough pace in the point that it wasn't 2 hours. It was only 90 minutes long. When the gore's there, it's fun, over the top. A tongue getting bitten out. The guy who gets a shotgun through the stomach. The idea is interesting. Biting someone and then they get the urges of cannibalism. I think that's an interesting idea for a movie. The gritty nature, whether it be when they're in Vietnam, the look they have in Vietnam, and like I said, some of that insane stuff that happens there, was like, oh shit, what movie I'm getting in. And some of the batshit insanity at the beginning of the film, and then when they're in the sewers, it does have a gritty look to it. I'm not even sure gritty is the right word. It's just that certain look that I enjoyed of the film. But I don't know how else to describe it. The score fit the film well. I had fun listening to the score. Sort of that Italian. I don't know if it was Goblin that did the score, but it's that almost Goblin feel on the score with these Italian movies. It was fun to listen to. And I can't say I was ever bored with the movie. I was never bored with the flick. So that's why overall I do like the film. And it's definitely one of the better cannibal movies I've seen. Because I would rather watch this than Cannibal Holocaust, or I'm not going to bother Eli Roth shit, because I guarantee I like this more than Green Inferno. For the cannibal films, this is one of the better ones I've seen, honestly. And again, this guy I thought did a pretty good job in the lead. But those are my thoughts on Cannibal Apocalypse. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.